In today's gospel, Jesus presents us with what someone could think of as three commands. We're told on the one hand that we are to remain in his love. We're also told that if we remain in his love, one of the ways that we do so is by keeping his commandments. And the third command that he gives us is that we ought to exercise in our own lives a degree of selflessness, and that selflessness may even at times call us to be willing to lay down our lives for others, to put ourselves aside and to think of others first and before ourselves. And if we look at the world today, the message that we very often are hearing stands in sharp contrast to the message of today's gospel. We're told that in order to be happy, we need to pursue a sort of love that can at times be empty. We're told that we need to seek out things to satisfy ourselves immediately, and that we're always to consider ourselves first, and if we are able to get around to it, then look to the needs of others. And the message of Jesus today is that that's not how a faithful follower of his is to live their life. We are to observe what the church commands, what the church teaches, recognizing that ultimately they are the commands of Jesus. We are to find ourselves rooted always acting out of a position of love, and we are called to look to the needs of others before we look to our own. And we find ourselves now, of course, in the Sunday following the announcement of the implementation for On Mission for the Church Alive. And I would imagine that in many of our parishes there's a great deal of hesitation. There may be some resistance. Some people may be questioning, what is this all really about? And I think when we have those responses to this process, what we can really ask ourselves is, how are we to respond as people of faith? What should our response be? And I think we can look to today's gospel for the answer to that. On the one hand, we simply need to make sure that no matter what we do, no matter what our future holds, we make sure that in that future we remain rooted in Jesus. And of course, we know that Jesus primarily can be found in the Eucharist. Perhaps years from now, we may not be receiving the Eucharist in the same church that we have for a good part of our lives, but it's the same Jesus no matter where we go. And also, I think it's important that we recognize that we are called to think of others and to think of the greater good before ourselves. It's an important message for all of us in today's gospel. And finally, I think we shouldn't overlook Jesus' command that we be willing to lay down our life for others. Now, I certainly think we can all hope it wouldn't come to that, but at the same time, I think we can look at our own lives, look at our parish situation and ask, is there something that perhaps for the greater good we might be willing to lay aside? And I think that's what we're all being called to do during this On Mission for the Church Alive initiative. So let us today look to Jesus, look to what he commands, look to the good of others rather than our own. And as always we should as Christians, let us remain rooted in Jesus and let us remain in his love.